Welcome everyone to another live session with Leverage TV. I'm Tushita Jolly, an overseas education expert at Leverage EDU. I coach students to make it to the top colleges of the world. So today's topic is scope of undergraduate studies in US. But before we begin, let me give you an insight about what we do here. We are an overseas education consultancy, India's most trusted admission platform. If you're planning to study abroad and wish to start your student education journey, please feel free to reach out to us. We at Leverage Edu help you reach your dream study abroad destinations. And if you're confused about what to apply for, how to apply, where to go, where not to go, we can help you with that. Apart from that, we guide you through your application process. We help you with constructing great SOPs, preparing you for your interviews, helping you with scholarships, loans, accommodations, visas, and a lot. You can reach out to us on leverageedu.com and avail the best university admission services. All right, guys. So a lot of us plan to go to US for our future education, especially in undergraduate studies. It has a huge market. To begin with, there is a lot about US that people don't understand. So number one, all students applying to US, this one very unique thing about applying to US is that you can apply undecided. If you are someone who's not decided on a course, if you don't have anything in mind, you don't know what to do, but you have this clarity that you want to go to US and complete your education, this is the place for you. Because for undergraduate students, they have this thing called applying undecided, in which a student gets a foundational year course for 1 year, and then the rest of the degree is based on their aptitude towards a particular program. This 1 year of one entire year of foundational course will help you gauge through various situations, and you'll understand what works out for you and what not. Apart from this, US is a very scholarship friendly location, I would say. So getting your applications done, I mean, it sounds very difficult. I mean, every time you hear someone say, oh, I went to US to study. Well, US has always been the most expensive destination, to be very honest with you. But one thing that people do not realize that US is also the most scholarship-friendly destination. According to which US universities are divided on the basis of need-blind and need-aware universities. What we mean by a need-blind university is a university that is understanding your scope, what kind of a student are you, and then understanding your needs and then giving you literally 100% scholarship. So you can study at MIT or Harvard for free. This is what we mean by a need-blind college. So whenever we talk about going to US, we must understand that we are going to always project out a very holistic profile. What I mean by a holistic profile is someone who has done arts, someone who's done, for any degree, you have to have a lot of extracurriculars. You have to have a lot on your plate. So NGO work really matters. If you've done any kind of NGO work, that would work in your favor. If you have self-initiative, if you've organized events, if you have built up something that is going to help the society in general, that is a great idea. So apart from your grades, apart from good grades, what all have you done? What does your SOP or your Common App essay look like? Helps you make it to the best of the best schools. I mean, even if winning competitions is a good way to go about it, so your achievements need to be mapped out. So in most cases, I would suggest a student to prepare from the 9th standard onwards while going in for something like this. So international achievements such as going in for National Science Olympiad or going for National Commerce Olympiads or different kinds of Olympiads or English Olympiad probably is going to help you. That is something that is on an international level and is an international achievement. To do well in those, great. You can apply to various kinds of technothlons if you're someone who's interested in, let's say, if you're someone who's interested in computer sciences, then you develop your profile accordingly, in the sense that you can go in for a summer school abroad. So all the top eight Ivies offer summer school. It's an intensive program which can be pursued online and offline in many cases. So you have to go through those internships, World Bank internships, big internships. Even though they sound very daunting, they are not so. Whatever these big organizations or these big I would say summer schools offer is a great exposure into the life ahead. So when you understand that I've been to so and so summer school, your chances of getting admitted into a university in US are much larger. So make sure that you have a stellar profile while applying to US. It's not related to your marks at all. It is really related to the profile you carry. So in most cases, every time I come across a student, there are things that I will always advise. So leadership positions. So if you have been a head boy in your school, you have a great chance of making it to universities and abroad, and US specifically, because they understand students coming from a leadership background. Or if you've been a cultural captain, or if you've just been the sports captain, all these things matter. So none of your experiences go waste. This is one thing about US that one needs to keep in mind. Another thing is go through various fellowships. Fellowships are things that you can leverage later on towards a fully funded scholarship. In a fellowship, you actually tend to engage with the government of India probably. If you are looking at a fellowship abroad from that particular nation's government, or it can be related to the UN. The UNDP programs, United Nations Development Programs, are extremely important. These are good ways you can leverage this out. Make sure you focus on a lot of internships, build your own startups, and start working at grassroots level. You can look at grassroots internship program. You are someone who will relocate from Delhi or wherever you are based to another remote area, and that experience really counts. So basically, US is a location that really keeps into account the students' experiences. That is what they gauge. If they say that a person has a different experience, and they will bring that to the table, the universities are more interested in having you. So even if you are someone from a war zone, I mean, you've had a very turbulent life, that is something you're willing to look at. So your Common App essays, while you're filling up your undergraduate studies form for US, doesn't ask you exactly for an SOP. It'll ask you for 8 different topics. With these 8 different topics, one can go, all of these 8 different topics are not exactly related to your field. These 8 different topics we have already done a session on your Common App essays will help them understand your potential. It will help them understand deeply about your profile, your experiences. You can take that forward. All those essays, all those 8 essays work completely on you. So cracking US, the most important thing for US is you. How do you explain your individuality? How do you explain what sort of a person are you? What have you done? What have you not done? So while you're applying to US, something that one must remember is that everything is very strongly dependent on your application process. Not only on your application process, also on those top 8 Common App essay topics. So make sure you remember and go through those 8 essay topics in great detail. So Common App essays is a must. Do not think twice before attempting those. There is no such thing as an optional essay on your Common App. Common application is a 19-page form, and common application questions are something that people look forward to every now and then. So first Common App question that we've ever encountered would be the first one actually, some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that may be so meaningful that they believe that their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, please share your story. Here they want to, even if I dissect this particular question that comes to you, they want to understand your background. They want to understand your identity. They want to understand your interests. That is something that one must keep in mind. So if you have done something apart, completely different from your academic background, you can take that forward. How talented are you? I had a student who came up to me and she wrote the same essay, and she's going for business management. She made it to the best of the best schools, and the essay that she wrote was about how when she was very young, she was a Reiki healer. She took training in the same. So that is one thing that she leveraged, and that's what got her to the best of the best universities. Make sure you attempt these questions from the base of your heart. There is no structured way to go about these questions. They are just an extempore of who you are and an extension of your own individuality. The second question that we have encountered with Common App questions is the lessons we take from our obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure, and how did that affect you? How did you learn from the experience? So this is that one question that is trying to understand your experiences and the struggles that you have been through. This is not something related to your course at all. They understand how do you persevere, how do you move out of a stressful situation and take that forward. This is something that one must keep in mind. So when you are encountering a question like this, make sure you talk about that, I must have won many competitions, but this is something that I failed at. And how did I learn from that? How did you go from 0 to 100? This is that story. This is that question you attempt. So make sure you talk about how did you move. Now, when I had a client for this particular question, she came up to me and said, "Ma'am, I want to talk about my growth." So she was actually someone who was not very she's not someone who had a lot of self-esteem issues. So she talked about her journey, and she symbolized it with the term metamorphosis. So in general, what is metamorphosis is what I would say is how a butterfly is made from a caterpillar. The journey from a caterpillar to a butterfly is metamorphosis. So that's how she gauged herself, and she said, initially I was this very underconfident person, and how did I gain? How did my exposure help me? How did my experiences change me? And she wrote an entire essay, 650-word essay, just on that. And she made it to the top UCs. She did. She's going to UC San Diego this year. So this is one of the questions that you can encounter, and answer that very, very carefully is what I would say. Apart from that, the third question that we see on Common App very, very commonly is reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or an idea. What prompted your thinking and what was your outcome? Now, when you encounter this question, the university is trying to understand how do you deal with challenges? How do you maintain your individuality while everybody else is changing around you? So Hugo and Ionesco had a particular book. That book was named Rhinoceros. Now, this story was about how every other person apart from him turned into a rhinoceros, and he maintained his own individuality. So this question is based on that. Now, for this particular question, a student came up to me and she was very, very upfront and very blunt. She had ideas that were very radical. So she was challenging the idea of belief, her entire belief system, which would be her religion, which would be her belief or her faith in the Almighty. And that question was selected by, she went to actually Michigan Ross. She was applying for that particular school, and she got through because this is the question that won their heart. So make sure you talk about things that or beliefs or ideas that you change. How do you think? They want to gauge what is your thought process. Can you think out of the box? Make sure you gauge through all these situations. Make sure you ask someone who has stories to tell. So every time you have a new story to tell, they're all ears. So they want to have a full disclosure about your profile before they take you in. Make sure you remember that. Another question that we often encounter is describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. And it can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you look at or could be taken that you would identify as a solution. Now, this particular question wants to understand whether you are a problem solver or not. So they want to see if there is an existing problem. Do you have an out of the box way to overcome that? So make sure you go through these questions and identify yourself and then answer these. So I've had a lot of students who have answered this question. There are students who have searched for different ways. One of them actually spoke to me about, the idea of carpooling and how that can help, bring down. You do realize that, there is a lot of waste, there's a lot of pollution that cars create. She actually said that, every car can convert into 4 people can take the same car, they can carpool and take that forward, and how that is going to help people economically, how it is going to help the environment. She changed the entire blueprint about it. Even while you're going in for masters, universities have a way of asking tough questions and to understand whether you are someone who would want to, keep their individuality intact or not. So the entire application going to US is completely centered around only one person, and that's you. Okay, so the next question that is often encountered is discuss an accomplishment, event, realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself and others. So this is purely a question. This is very straightforward. They want to know how they can change as an individual. What was that one turning point in your life? So I had a student who was talking to me about how, he was someone who was diagnosed with dyslexia, and how he took that forward, and how that one particular experience of going to a special school changed him. That's what made him different from other people. That's a new experience that he had to bring to the table. How did he face that challenge, and how did he become an accomplished sports person? So this is your journey of, something very offset, something that has set you behind other students. And how did you go right with your hard work, with your perseverance? How did you move to a point that you call yourself a winner today? So they want to understand your experiences in depth. Make sure you do that whenever you are filling up an application. Another question that we often encounter is, describe a topic, a concept, or idea you find so engaging that it makes you lose track of time. What is it that captivates you, and why or who do you think do you turn to if you want to learn more? So for this particular question, I had a student who said, what captivates me is time travel. He wrote an entire piece based on time travel. One of them wrote it over Power Rangers also. So you can get creative. This is your space to be as creative as you want, because there are no wrong answers in terms of attempting these questions. So make sure whenever you're going through a Common App essay, or whenever you are applying to US, you are giving full disclosure of who you are. And there is a lot of introspection involved. So they want to see, how do you discover yourself, and how do you take that forward to make great changes? One thing about great leaders in the world that I've often encountered is that they are very adaptable. How do you adapt to a new situation? Can you really adapt well? Can you really self-introspect? And can you make that even stronger for yourself? So make sure you remember that, make sure you track that, and take it all forward. So these are the questions that we often encounter while looking at Common App essays. And the final question is that they'll leave it to you. The final question is, share an essay on a topic of your choice, and it can be anything probably that you've already written. One that and you can respond to just that question. So here they want to even understand, this particular question is very cleverly designed to understand what is your exact interest area, and something that the other questions about do not cater to. So this has to be something very different. So while attempting the 7th question, you must be extremely sure about what do you want to talk about. I've had students who've written various essays. Someone actually spoke about how Julius Caesar as a text was very complicated, and it's all full of psychology, and one understands the psychology behind how wars are set, what politics plays. And this was the person who was applying for a science program. He made it to UC San Diego too. So there are no wrong answers. There are no right answers here. You just have to be yourself. Make sure you go through, for US, if you're applying to US, you have to have thorough research about where do you want to apply, how do you want to apply, how will you make a change. Very idealistic country. So ideals, you have an idealistic thought process. Make sure you convey that. They want to understand you. They want to understand your personality type. They want to understand how do you think, and what are the factors that have affected you. What experiences have made you do, and what do those experiences do for their organization. Edgar Allan Poe was someone who was a Fulbright scholar. Now, Fulbright scholarship is a 100% fully funded scholarship program available in US that people usually tend to take. You don't pay a single penny. In fact, the university pays you. It's like that. So make sure that that is purely on the basis of where he came from and how did he use that to make it to US. So everyone has to be an opportunist here, to be very honest. So make sure you think about your applications going to US, because in my opinion, every time a student says, I want to go abroad, my reaction is, let's begin with US. It is the best country one can encounter. So there is no SOP going abroad. There are university-specific questions they will ask you on how, and of course, recommendations. Your recommendations from your school teachers are also, I would say, they're very intense. The word is intense, because they will ask everything about you. They will ask questions such as, how is this particular student? Is he the kind of student whom you never have come across? I mean, if there's a student, is this like the best student you have in your class, or is this someone you've never come across in life before? So they have those options to choose from. There is a 1,000-word essay that your school teachers have to write about you on your Common App. They want to understand every single thing about you. Your CVs, apart from that, there is an entire activity section in which you can put 10 activities, 10 extremely strong activities with describing them in 150 words and how many hours have you contributed to the same in a year. And since when are you doing this? In the 9th standard to 12th standard, when did you take this activity up? So everything with them becomes, they are very interested in your profile. They want to know literally everything. They want to delve into the details. They want to understand how we take this forward. And they completely understand what is this person going to turn out to be if he is in US. So you are, if you're applying to US and you have an admit, you are someone with a lot of potential, unmatched, unparalleled potential. And that is what they grow upon. That is why US has a very forward-looking economy to begin with. So just in case you have any questions or queries regarding this, you can reach out to us. This would not be a problem. We have a team of expert counselors that will help you understand these questions, take up these prompts, help you understand, brainstorm, edit the answers, take those forward, help you with the application process, explain everything to you in grave detail, and also help you apply to a scholarship. Whether it is partially funded or fully funded totally depends on how hard have you worked with us. So thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for taking out the time and being here with us. It was lovely connecting with you today. Thank you.